Is the Department of Justice setting up a stealth national police force? I'm Robin Kinderman, and you're watching JBS Straight Talk. In the name of fighting the war on terror, our individual liberties and constitutional rights aren't the only victims of the federal government. Local police departments, which are entrusted to serve their local municipal communities or state, are also being targeted by the federal government for assimilation. What I mean is that the Department of Justice has a program that allows local law enforcement officers to be deputized, which enable them to serve as federal agents in joint terrorism task forces. Michael Mahari, Communications Director for the 10th Amendment Center, explains this further in his online article. He says, a federal program known as Equitable Sharing allows local prosecutors and police to bypass more restrictive state asset forfeiture laws by passing cases off to the federal government through a process known as adoption. Mahari points to the Department of Justice's Policy Directive 17-1, which states that Attorney General Jeff Sessions issued an order in full support of the Equitable Sharing Program. Mahari explains it directs federal law enforcement agencies to aggressively utilize it and sets the stage to expand it in the future. In other words, under the Department of Justice's Equitable Sharing Program, local police and prosecutors can bypass their own state's anti-surveillance or forfeiture laws in order to conduct warrantless surveillance and seize private property. Local police and prosecutors can justify this merely by transferring the case over to the jurisdiction of the federal government. The case is then designated as a federal adoption according to the DOJ's Policy Directive 17-1. Once the case becomes federally adopted through the Equitable Sharing Program, local police continue working on it as part of a Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF. Of the JTTFs, Mahari writes, prior to 9/11, there were about 30 JTTFs scattered around the U.S. Today, more than 180 such task forces operate all across the U.S. According to Memoranda of Understanding, MOUs, obtained by the ACLU, state and local law enforcement officers assigned to JTTFs follow federal rules for intelligence gathering. Not only do local police and prosecutors follow federal rules for intelligence gathering when participating in a joint terrorism task force, they are also given full immunity for conducting warrantless surveillance. Ladies and gentlemen, this unconstitutional equitable sharing program and federal adoptions essentially boils down to a stealth federalization of our local police departments. This potentially sets the stage for the DOJ to oversee and run local police departments to enforce federal laws. In other words, we'd have a national police force under the facade of being local police. As Americans, it is essential to our freedom and the integrity of our communities that we keep our local police independent of federal control. Their job and the oath they swore is to protect and serve the people of their communities and uphold the Constitution. You can help to keep your local police independent. Check out our Support Your Local Police action page at jbs.org and consider starting or joining a committee. Links are in the description below. Also, don't forget this week is National Police Week. Take the time to show your local police how much you appreciate everything they do and how important it is for them to stay independent. So until next time, take care and God bless.